A few more tips on the topic of habit changing. A good question is, what do you do if your bed is in another room, meaning you do not have a dedicated room for sleep? Then mentally designate an area that will be considered a bedroom area. This will include the bed and its immediate vicinity. Then treat that area as your bedroom. It's a mental trick. That's all. The next step is that if you cannot or do not wish to cancel an activity, find an alternative location where you will do it. Remember, anywhere is better than in your bedroom. That should be your guideline. Next tip is that habit changing is only hard in the beginning. With each repetition, the behavior gets more and more automatic. Do not try to resist this fact, but consider it as something that cannot be changed and just go along with it. If you have difficulties starting off, then decide to not overthink it. If you're an overthinker or a procrastinator, there is a great method you should apply called the 5-second rule. More about it in the summary section if you're interested. The next step is to aim for gradual, consistent, small steps that last. Those lead to success. Big leaps occur rarely, so it is not the best strategy to count on them as your primary focus of growth. Do not try to introduce too many changes at once, as you will dilute your focus, risking an overwhelm and stopping the project altogether. The next step is to not put yourself under pressure with self-doubt and self-condemnation. They are the biggest enemies of change and improvement because you block in advance your ability to succeed. If you're having a hard time convincing yourself that a specific technique could work, set it up as a mini challenge or an empirical test and do it. Try it and see what happens. When you have a setback, and trust me, nothing happens without those in life, just remember that you are doing this with a long-term goal in mind and revert to the correct behavior. Then stop dwelling on it and let it go. Next tip is do not evaluate if the new behavior makes sense by waiting for the final outcome. For example, you try a new evening schedule, and since it doesn't remove your insomnia completely and immediately, you say, this doesn't work, and you stop trying. No, find small, even micro wins and give yourself self-reinforcement. Let me provide some examples of what this is to make it more understandable. Self-reinforcement can be as simple as saying in your mind, I'm working to fix this problem. Another possibility would be, perhaps I won't make it in the first try, but I know I will find a solution that will work for me. Another self-reinforcement statement would be, the fact that I am working on my problem and not just complaining about it like the majority matters a lot and is a step forward. Another possible example of self-reinforcement is the fact that I have tried this method, even though it may not yet be perfect, is the right course of action. I hope you now understand the concept of self-reinforcement. As you can see, it is a very clear contrast to self-defeating thoughts that often crawl into our minds when we endeavor on a new project or an activity. I highly recommend also adding self-praise to the mix. This will increase your self-confidence and self-esteem. Through them, you are more likely to persist with a new behavior, grow and improve all the way until you find a solution that works for you and eventually fix the insomnia problem. Examples of self-praise are, I got this. I am great at finding solutions. I am confident I will find the thing that will work for me. As you can see, the difference between self-reinforcement and self-praise is that the first one is oriented towards a specific activity, and the second one applies to you as a personality. If it's too early for you to start with these two mental techniques, then at least make sure that you do not do the opposite, meaning ruminating about undermining your efforts or criticizing yourself. The next step for habit changing revolves around the question of can we change the habits regardless of age? And the answer is on a neural level, human brain can change and adapt throughout the entire life. True, the younger brain has certain biological preconditions that he learns faster, but the brain of an adult can learn as well. The main difference that we can consciously influence, though, is that the youngsters commonly do not block their learning, whereby an adult usually places each external impulse through much more mental filters and limitations. Examples would be self-doubt, personal and societal rules and expectations, past experiences, and on and on. A common example of such limitation would be a belief framed as this is who I am, I cannot change this habit. This is all only a limiting thought. There is no physical barrier. It's only in your head. The only true statement would be, I do not want this. Now, I'm going to the area of mental or cognitive restructuring, which is a very extensive field. And if you're interested in it, check out further reading for more resources.